Hello everybody, Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today is January 26th. We finally got some active and fun weather to look at today. But first, I got a new webcam, so we shouldn't have any more awkward freezes right in the middle of the video anymore, so that's great. But now looking at the visual satellite imagery currently from this morning, you can see the clockwise flow of the ridge of high pressure that's over us right now. In the northern hemisphere, high pressure systems flow clockwise. However, storm systems like the one over the eastern Aleutian Islands flow counterclockwise. High pressure is anti-cyclonic, while cyclones and storms are cyclonic. So just like this storm that's off of Southern California right now, that's bringing some showers and isolated thunderstorms, very beneficial rain going into the mountains and some of the lowlands of Southern California as well. Thankfully, the mud flow risk right now doesn't seem to be very high, but any of those heavier showers going over those burn scars of like the Eden fire and the Palisades fire are gonna has the potential for some mud flows and such. So anyways, let's get right into things right now. Here's the this morning's European model, and here's last night's. So if we look at the two different model runs of the same model, we can see how consistent it is being, and seeing how things change in each model run and stuff. So you can currently see the big ridge of high pressure that we saw on satellite over us right now. This is keeping us in a dry, cooler weather with that trough over the California, bringing that beneficial precipitation down there. Now, as we play this through, this ridge starts the weekend. If I go back, this is actually a weakening omega block. So an omega block is when you get a trough on one side of the ridge and a trough on the other side of the ridge. So it's like if you build a tower with blocks and you put supporting blocks on both sides of the tower, it keeps the tower more steady and stable. And that's what happens when you get these omega blocks up in the atmosphere. The high pressure system kind of gets locked in. It takes a lot of shoving and pushing to get out of the area. And it's going to take about a week for this to actually happen. But it's starting to break down right now. And you can see it's starting to topple over. That tower is starting to topple over and weaken as we go through later this week. And then look at this right over the Alaska and the Northern Territories, Yukon, British Columbia. You can see this cold trough of Arctic air is starting to settle into Alaska, and this is only about 3 to 4 days from now. So this is pretty soon. This is out of fantasy land range now. And you can see there's also another storm system way off in the Pacific, and this is going to have a role as well. This is going to try to merge with this polar trough that's coming out of the Arctic. And if I play this out, so last night's European model has this storm system being a little stronger, more progressive, and merging with our trough coming down from the north a little quicker. That helps to pull this trough perfectly right over us. But look at how this morning, though, has the trough too far north and doesn't bring that Arctic air down. However, last night was almost like a perfect setup if you want on lowland snow here in western Washington, southwest British Columbia, and even western Oregon as well. You want that cold air to come off the central BC coastline, come right back in the Pacific Northwest, so the temperatures don't get moderated too much over the Pacific Ocean. This also causes cyclogenesis, a low pressure system, to form right off the Washington coastline, and that would help bring moisture in from the Pacific, overriding that really cold air that's moving down from the interior of the continent. So when you get cold and moist air mixing together, that equals snow in a lot of cases, and that's exactly what would happen in this sort of setup. However, this morning's run is not as favorable. That cold air doesn't come out as far over the water. It's farther north, it's weaker. And that storm system that coming in off the coastline is much stronger. So it's kind of affecting that trough a bit more. And you can see it doesn't even come down over us. It just gets completely sucked over the water into that storm off the coast, and it brings this actual pretty strong storm right off the coast. That would have more windstorm potential than it would have snow potential. So you can see models are still flip-flopping around. This is about 7 days out or so it's normal to have models flip-flopping. But other models are still showing very good setups, and this will likely change. So we're just kind of trying to find trends and see models are now actually locked in on the Arctic air coming down in the BC. Now we need to start ironing out how far south does the cold air get, how cold is it going to be, how much moisture is there going to be, and that's what we can really start getting into the nitty-gritty details later this week. But you can see last night's European model also has a second shot of cold air coming down as we go through into the following week as well, while this morning's kind of just dies off. So there's potential even for more fun after that. Now let's look at the same thing, but this is the GFS model. This is the global forecasting system based here in the United States. And you can see very good agreement in the short term. But look at the same trough in the European model, but you can see there's even some disagreement showing up within about 4 to 5 days. So the disagreement starts showing up pretty decently early in the models. And you can see this morning's GFS has the trough over Alaska and stuff being stronger, colder air. But you can see last night, so it's a little weaker. But look at this. This morning's GFS run basically has almost a perfect setup like the European model from last night. While last night's GFS, it also had a very good setup, but that cold air is a little far off the coastline, but that would still be have the potential for a good snow chances as well. That model actually brought a pretty significant snowstorm in the parts of northern Washington. So even if you don't get the perfect set, you can still get some good snow events as well. But you can see the GFS is a lot better. It's a bit colder. That trough is more centered of the Pacific Northwest. It even gets reinforced right over Oregon. This would start causing more dry air to come down over Washington, but this is still a better step. Even last night's GFS had another round coming in. This morning's GFS even had another round as well later on. So models, good agreement that there's going to be some sort of Arctic air moving down. Now let's look at the European AI model. This was actually the first model to really start locking in on the colder solution of that trough coming in a more better way for us to get colder air. So I don't look at this model too much. It's a newer model that started coming out to the public, I think sometime last year. So I haven't been looking at it a lot, but it's kind of proving its worth in the last few days with showing these colder solutions earlier than the other models did. So now let's look at this. Is last night's, like in this model run was right in the middle of the night. This was yesterday evening's model run, and you can see pretty good agreement on both ones. But look at this morning's or last night, right in the middle of the night. It was really early morning. You can see it's even better than it was. So it's still showing that cold air, it kind of clipping us. You might want this a little farther over the water, but this is still better than the regular European model showed this morning. So I would say that there's more models showing better cold and better snow chances than worse snow chances, but that could and will probably change as we get closer. We could trend to more snow, colder air, or less cold, less snow potentially. So we'll just continue to watch trends. But even going into next week, the week after next, actually, the European AI model has another wave, had this trough opening up a second time right over the Pacific Northwest. So the potential for even more fun weather as we go into early February is there. Now looking at 850 millibar temperature anomalies. I showed you guys this in the last video, but now this is comparing this morning's European one to last night's European model. This is the regular European model. We can compare what happens with that better set from last night versus what was the worst setup for snow was showing this morning. So you can see this cold air starts coming down. You can see the Arctic air starting to approach us around Saturday, but the real cold air doesn't come down until Sunday. So look at last night. So you can see the cold air is a lot more entrenched over all the Pacific Northwest, but look at this. You can see this really warm air with a frontal system, a warm front moving up from the storm system off the coast. There's a lot more cold air, and it's also coming much farther south. And you can see how these little arrows are all spinning right here. That's a low pressure system right on the Washington coast. This will allow moisture to flow in and for there to be snow and potential for a good bit of it. However, this morning, look at that Arctic air doesn't really make much headway in the Washington, and it merges with the storm system off the coast. This is a pretty powerful cyclone, actually. So you want this solution if you want snow, but models are going to keep flip-flopping. So this is just, don't take any one model for granted right now. We're just watching trends right now. Now also looking at the precipitation trends. Here's 6-hour precipitation type in inches. You can see the rain and snow for the mountains of Southern California. Very beneficial. That rain finally moves out of Southern California by later Monday evening. Dry weather continues for much of the Pacific Northwest. And here comes our first system. So here's last night's European mall run. Here's this morning. You can see it's actually it comes in maybe a little sooner on last night's, but that's not the big thing. Look at how, so last night had the system being further off the coastline, colder air having more headway into the area. However, this morning's European mall actually had almost kind of an atmospheric river moving the area. And unfortunately, with atmospheric rivers, the air is usually pretty warm aloft, which is not good for snow. However, if you get a good cold setup with an atmospheric river flowing into it, you can get some pretty big snowstorms. So it's kind of a dance of how warm do you want it to be, how much moisture do you want there to be. But even this morning's European mall brings a significant snowstorm to Portland. So even with the warmer solutions, there's still snow potential. But look at this. This is a classic Pacific Northwest snow event on last night's European mall. You get that low pressure cyclogenesis right off the coast, and you bring that snow and precipitation right over much of the Pacific Northwest with that cold Arctic air spilling out. You can see this really deep high pressure system. You can see, however, on this morning's European mall, it's kind of a more freezing rain event for some areas as well. However, Southwest BC would have better chances of snow as that colder air would be more locked up near around Vancouver and stuff. But then you can see it actually had quite the powerful storm system with a 980 millibar low, but this would bring a lot of warm air over the region and would likely limit snow totals. But you can see even California could be getting on a lot of this action as well, with that this morning's European mall showing significant snow for the Sierra Nevada and lowland rain for a lot of California as well. And you can see if we play this out, the European mall had another snow event coming in behind the first one. This morning's didn't really have that as well, though, but that's getting way too far out, way past 10 days. Now looking at the GFS, this is just for fun. The GFS this morning was kind of exciting with that better solution of the cold air. So we play this out, dry weather continuing for the Pacific Northwest. Here comes that first system. Then the cold air starts pouring out, and you can see how the GFS doesn't really have this atmospheric river going into Oregon. It's kind of more aimed down towards California. Look at this. It has a very good snow event with multiple inches of snow, maybe even a half a foot of snow potentially with something like this. So it just depends on how this system comes in here. The GFS shows a very good snow event that kicks out by around later on next Monday. But look at this. Let's get towards the end of the run. The cold air kind of remains. There's multiple reinforcements of the cold air through the 16-day time frame. But watch this. You get these low pressure systems riding right off from the Pacific in the perfect alignment to have that cold air spilling right out over the Cascades into western Washington with lots of Pacific moisture flowing through. This would be a very major snowstorm. This would be one of the ones that would shut down schools and stuff for quite a while. This would drop a couple of feet of snow in places. It continues on even after the model run. So there's potential for fun stuff even after that. Don't be sharing this with your neighbors or your friends or anything. This is just one model run and showing that it could get exciting if things all just align perfectly. So it's been a while since we've had some pretty active weather to look at, so this is kind of fun. This is fun for me to look at this as well and show you guys. But we have to be cautious, though, because some of the warmer solutions, some of the less snow solutions may occur. So, but anyways, let's get back to what's happening right now in the next few days before even the snow arrives. The high pressure system's going to keep us mostly cloud free over the next few days. Once that ridge starts weakening and coming more directly over us, we could start getting some fog and more morning clouds over the parts of the area. This would be mostly Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and then our frontal system starts moving in on Thursday. So some fog and morning clouds possible Tuesday and Wednesday mornings, but it should clear up by the afternoon. So even though it's going to be kind of chilly with freezing temperatures over the next few days, still continuing even for western portions. And then you can see all the clouds associated with all the weather systems after that. Now looking at daily 2 meter minimum temperatures over the next few days. This is in Fahrenheit. You can see pretty chilly air, getting below freezing, with temperatures in the 20s and the low 30s on a lot of the west side, away from the water, immediate water. And still in the icebox out east, you can see freezing temperatures continue for much of western Washington and western Oregon all the way through Thursday. Before we warm up, that first system that comes in is going to bring rain on later Thursday and the Friday and the Saturday. The snow doesn't really start showing up on models until Sunday and then the Monday after next. So there's still plenty of time to look at this. But then you can see as that Arctic air mass starts coming out, you can see the negative Fahrenheits all the way in BC with that Arctic air mass coming right over. And this is just an average of a ton of models, so temperatures will likely be warmer or colder than this. I think it's going to be colder than this. That's personally how I feel at this point. But you can see if we start getting moisture with temperatures like this, you're going to get snow. So, and there's going to be dry air as well. So you can get evaporative cooling. When you get rain falling in the dry air, the water moistens the air. And when you moisten the dry air, it has to cool the temperatures. The equal out the humidity, so you can drop the temperatures if you get rain moving in the dry air. So the drier the air is at the start of a snow event, the better, because you'll have colder temperatures and potential for even more snow. Now, looking at total precipitation on the national blend of models over the next 10 days, you can see whether or not we get snow or not, there's going to be plenty of precipitation to go around, with multiple inches in the mountains and on the coastline as well. Maybe an inch or two for some of the lowlands. You can see a bit of rain shadowing up towards Whidbey Island, Camino Island, Fidelio Island, the San Juans, up near Sequim and Port Townsend, the typical rain shadowed areas. And this is going to be very beneficial because we've had almost a record dry January here for a lot of places in the Pacific Northwest. So this is going to be very beneficial precipitation, whether or not we get snow or not. There's going to be snow in the mountains, though, at least. Now looking at total snow in inches over the next 10 days, you can see there's even snow moving into the lowlands now in the models. You can see even the national blended models is starting to approach 2 inches in some of the lowlands as well. But you can see multiple feet of snow expected, even for potentially all the way for the Sierra Nevada, all the way up into way in the BC. The interior of British Columbia is also going to get plenty of snow. There's also going to be snow potential for eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, Idaho, Montana. Most of the West has chances for snow as we go into this pattern change. So fun stuff coming up. Now looking at all 50 ensemble members on the European model, each ensemble member has the initial conditions slightly tweaked. So if we have some errors in our initial data on the original model runs, which we were looking at earlier, those are called control runs or operational runs. Those run based off the best we know the atmosphere currently. These ones are tweaked a little bit just in case our data is a little messed up. So this gives us a lot of different solutions and potential for disagreement if we got the initial readings wrong. So you can see, but this is for Whidbey Island, the Naval Air Station, NAS Whidbey. You can see there's now about 36 members now, all showing over 2 inches of snow in a 24-hour period. So this is snowfall totals that happen in a 24-hour period, but you can see that there's other actual full-on snowstorms mixing in here as well. So we'll likely get some flakes at least, no matter what the solution is. I'm expecting us to at least get some sort of snowflakes. How much snow, though, we're not going to know until later next week. So I'll have plenty of videos continuing to update this. This is for Seattle, maybe a little lower snow chances, but you can see even one ensemble member at 2 feet of snow for Seattle. You can see a couple other ones approaching a foot of snow. You can see, though, there's still a lot of disagreement. There's still some that show hardly any snow at all. So just going to have to continue to watch this as we go. You can see, though, even for Portland is looking pretty good, almost just as good as Seattle. But look at this. You can see the control run we showed earlier with the atmospheric river going to Portland actually showed a pretty significant snowstorm with almost a foot of snow for Portland. So even the warmer solutions have a chances for snow events somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. So chances of snow with this pattern coming up is all I can really say at this point. I don't know how much is going to happen. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, what we expect, below average temperatures expected for the West Coast. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, above average precipitation expected with storm systems moving through during this time frame that we're looking at right now. The 14-day temperature outlook for the first week of February and the second week of February. Below average temperatures expected as the potential for more reinforcements of Arctic air potentially may occur as well as we go later in the February. Near normal to maybe slightly above normal favored at this, but this is getting way far out there. Models are still flip-flopping within the 7-day range, so there's definitely maybe disagreement here. So this is a lot of information to take in, everybody. Thank you everybody who made it to the end of this video. Please hit the like button, subscribe button if you found this enjoyable and informative. I'll hopefully have another forecast video up in the next few days or so. Hopefully we have better agreement in the models, and I expect we will. But I'm hopeful for this setup for those that would like snow. Whether or not we get snow is still in question, but I think we will get some here in the lowlands. So keep your prayers, your pinkies crossed wherever you do. And I hope everybody's having a great weekend so far. Take care, God bless, and I'll talk to everybody in the next forecast video.